Okay, well, due to an odd series of events, it's just me and CJ tonight.
Oh yeah,
So,
bro
yeah,
down.
it's yeah, we got a couple of cold ones here. I got some green tea here,
Oh yeah,
and
you got green tea. Okay, when you said a couple of cold ones, that's not what I was thinking. But
no, yeah. So we're recording this kind of late night. Just trying to get this out. And yeah, we have some topics here.
oh
I
yeah,
mean,
putting in
uh,
some work here. I mean, we've got actually a lot of stuff to talk about, a lot of interesting stuff. Not necessarily like the biggest news, but it is stuff that I mean we're gonna get a good discussion out of it. I
yeah,
certainly have a lot of opinions, and I know Nick has a lot of opinions on this stuff. So hopefully you guys will as well. So feel free to join the discussion in the comments below.
no, don't join in. We
Don't
don't.
join in. No, we hate you
No,
all.
we don't. Yeah, yeah.
No,
We're
I
just
honestly I love you guys. It's wonderful. It's that time of night. That should tell you how late we're filming this.
good.
But no, all right.
Yeah, I mean, like, but what have you been up to though, like lately?
Me, I've been hanging out. School started. I think I mentioned that on like the last episode, but school started a couple weeks ago, so I'm just kind of getting in the swing of things here. Still working. So when I'm not at school, I'm at work, and when I'm not at work or school, I'm doing a video. Uh,
Yeah.
so yeah, making time. Uh, just hanging out. Good to be on Superfriends. I know I was on the last one, but I think I missed a couple before that. And hopefully we'll be back at full strength soon. I know Luke is kind of struggling with some internet issues, and McKinley is also at school right now. So hopefully we can get them on the next one. But what have you been up to, Nick?
I mean, mostly just kind of reading and just writing stuff. I mean, I'm working on an Arrow spec right now.
Oh, nice.
Um, yeah, I think I talked to you about this a while back, like where I wanted to write an episode where the question was
Ooh.
introduced.
I think that's a good
So,
idea. It feels to me like the question would work very well in that universe. I mean, maybe even so well that I'm kind of shocked they haven't introduced him yet. Him or her,
yeah, I
depending
mean,
on which one you want to do. Either would work, I think.
yeah, Vic Sage, but I
Hmm.
mean, they have talked about like, oh yeah, maybe the question will be like one of the characters you want to introduce in the show, but I just I liked the question when he was in the Denny O'Neil like stuff.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah,
then
yeah, yeah.
they crossed over a lot during like the 80s. They would like Green Arrow and Question would cross over and
Yeah,
stuff. They had some pretty good storylines. So
absolutely. I can't wait to read that. I hope I'll get a chance to see it once you're done with it.
no,
Never.
only studio eyes can
Only
see it.
studio eyes. Very top secret, classified. So it's going to be in Hillary
Yeah.
Clinton's emails. But we're going to
Oh
get
jeez.
back to DC Comics, that is. So yeah, what's our first topic?
Yeah, the first topic. So apparently this dude, he's like, and I have an exclusive source about Ezra Miller and Batman v Superman, and basically the guy is saying that he's confirmed to be like appearing in the movie to some capacity, and that he'll have some type of a post-apocalyptic looking costume, and that he's gonna be like have a ripped physique rather than be like some bulky tank like Batman and Superman kind of look, and even Aquaman, I guess, to that point. But yeah, it's kind of interesting. I mean,
Hmm.
I didn't really expect like a post-apocalyptic look for it. I mean, is he gonna come back from? He's like way in the future or something coming back. I mean, we don't know, but
I mean, that would be a really interesting take on it. I mean, he's already said that he's going to be Barry Allen, which kind of like ruins the chance for them to do, oh, it's Wally West, and then say, maybe tie in the whole Grant Gustin thing that way. But I mean, I don't know. This is one thing that I have a lot of opinions on, and I love how this fan has an exclusive source about Ezra Miller and that stuff, and it's Ezra Miller himself, I guess.
yeah,
I thought that was fantastic. But and if this turns out to be true, then it's great. Um, the fact that his hair is long, I really think that's fine. But what excites me the most is the ripped physique is good. I think Ezra Miller's he's not a big guy. He's kind of slim, trim. He's already very fit. It should be able to get him into kind of a hardcore runner's physique. Pretty easily with a proper diet and training regimen. But that's how Barry Allen should look. I mean, he shouldn't be as big as Superman or kind of as built up as Batman is in the suit. Um, but the one thing that kind of concerns me is the post-apocalyptic look to the costume. Like, what does that mean? It's a very odd kind of description. Um, And I don't know. I really don't. And maybe, who knows? Maybe he'll be like, maybe Barry is going to be like, if he does come back from the future, maybe he's going to be the catalyst for potentially some of the events in Justice League, and trying to change the past. And I think that could be a very interesting twist. But Nick, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I was initially kind of like really weirded out by the casting of Ezra Miller. I mean, I
Mm.
know he's a good actor and everything, but like I was just kind of like, oh, that's so weird. But
Okay.
I mean, yeah, he recently interviewed with like MTV, and he talked about like parallel universes and everything. Like that interview won me over because he seemed like such a cool guy,
Yeah.
and
He's
he actually knew about the comics and stuff. Like,
Yeah, he's filming something else right now, and it was something that I was really surprised that he's in, and for the life of me, it's escaping me. I might look this up on IMDb real quick and jump back in, but apparently that's where this fan ran into him and asked him these questions. And it's something that really kind of, like, I was in the same boat. I was kind of like, I'm not sure how I feel about Ezra Miller at all. I mean, he doesn't really necessarily look the part of the comic book Barry Allen, but he does have some acting chops. It's undeniable. What is he filming? Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. I completely forgot that he was in that. I was kind of like, okay, so he's getting himself out there. So and that to me is a good sign. It means DC didn't go completely like out of left field and cast some indie actor that nobody's ever heard of, like Ricardo Seguera. But they they actually they're
well, Fantastic Beasts is in house. It's Warner.
yeah, exactly.
So
It's in house.
He's gonna be. He's working. He's all working with the same people.
Yeah.
He's in that same circle. So.
But it still kind of tells me that, this is not some guy that they just found and someone's like, I'm gonna make you a star, kid. It's more like, hey, this guy's an up and comer, and he's gonna be around for a while. And so that to me kind of it makes it less risky in my head, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's interesting too, like how Snyder cast him because apparently he just called him up on the phone while he was in like Costa Rica and was like, "Hey, can we talk about the Flash?" And he's just like, "Okay." Like there was no audition or anything. It's just like odd how he's like, "Yeah, I want Ezra Miller to be my Flash." It's like, what?
And that's good. I mean, that means the director has a vision at the very least, and he
Yeah.
knows what he wants, and he did his research, I guess. If he doesn't even really need an interview, but I mean, the thing with Ezra Miller is the other thing that stood out to me when he was cast is that he doesn't really. Barry is always kind of a jokester. He's thinking a mile a minute, and his mouth is moving even faster, and so he's kind of a glib guy, if that makes sense. But Ezra Miller doesn't really play glib characters that much. He doesn't really play kind of the jokester, the class clown that Barry typically is. And so maybe if we see a post-apocalyptic look, and if he's coming back from the future, maybe it's a little bit like Kyle Reese in the original Terminator. Maybe he's kind of shook up from what he's seen in this future. Say if a dark side comes and has Apocalypse take over the planet.
No, they're gonna adapt the Future's End thing with Brother Eye.
Maybe. I mean, who knows? Like Brother Eye in Future's End, Brother Eye is not to be fucked with. And you can ask Terry McGinnis that because he's dead. But I mean, it'd be interesting to see if they pull like a Terminator Kyle Reese with Barry Allen and kind of have him be more, at least when he's introduced, kind of more, I guess. What's the word I'm looking for? I was going to say, like, this isn't the one I was looking for, but maybe, like, shelf-knocked, I guess you could say. Maybe kind of quiet and reserved at first, and then maybe he'll open up the more as they actually succeed and change the future. But that's maybe just a projection and reading way too much into post-apocalyptic, I think. So.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, yeah, I'm excited to see it. I hope that he is in BVS, just like a cameo or something. He just like flies by or runs by, whatever. But.
Yeah, it's been confirmed. I think he's going to be like a red blur. Or, I mean, I think the confirmation was like maybe he's captured or something like that. But I'm not sure about that. LexCorp.
Yeah, something like that.
Oh.
But, yeah, our next topic here, it's really cool. It's also pertaining to the DC movies. Wonder Woman that is shooting very soon. I believe it's September. So yeah, we're right in September now. So any week now it can start shooting.
Any week now.
And apparently it's going to be taking place, like the shooting is going to be taking place in Italy. And the director of photography worked on Interstellar and Her, and what else did you do? The Fighter.
The Fighter, and one of my personal favorites, Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. Fantastic movie if you haven't ever watched it, though I will warn you, it's not one of those that you can put on in the background while you do other things. You're going to want to sit down
Gary
and follow
Oldman's
everything.
In that too. He's great.
Gary Oldman, Toby Harris, Colin Firth, Mark Strong. Really great cast. Movie that flew under the radar. Fantastic film. But I mean, and it's really interesting. Like, this is a very accomplished cinematographer. I don't know if you mentioned Spectre as
oh yeah, he just did that. Yeah.
Just did Spectre. So that should, honestly, like, if you look at the collection of films that the cinematographer has done, that should give you an example of the kind of look that we might be seeing, especially with, I mean, shooting in Italy, and, it's really interesting. I find it hard to describe sometimes, like, how a cinematographer, how their style is. I can't usually find the words, but I think it's going to be a very interesting look. And I think, Nick, you mentioned before we started recording, this already kind of goes to show, like, the very different kind of styles each movie is going to have, from Man of Steel to Batman vs. Superman, and now, of course, Wonder Woman is going to have a very different look and feel to it, which I think is personally a good thing. Get some diversity up in there.
Well, they all kind of, I mean, I was saying they all kind of sort of look like the Zack Snyder visual style, though, too.
Yeah, and that's,
a little bit.
I was going to say, like, Van Hoytema, excuse me, the style was actually pretty close to Snyder. I would say it's not, and I find it, kind of hard to, it's not quite as, like, grainy and sort of, like, distressed with neon, overlit, like, some bright colors in there, but it's more like, it's more subdued, especially, like, if you look at some of the stuff like Spectre, and especially Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy is really good in that way. There's a lot of, it's very, very subdued, lots of shades of gray, not like 50 Shades of Gray, but there's lots of kind of, and it reflects the tone of the movie. It's about spies, and there's a mole, there's a rat, and you've got to find it, and there's all these shades of gray and spy work. But I'm getting off track. I think it's gonna have a really interesting look and feel to it. And they also announced they're filming in Italy, like you said, but they also announced the working title and revealed some details about the potential, like, setting of the movie.
Yeah.
So do you want to elaborate on that? I can't even really remember.
Yeah, it's the shooting title is Nightingale, as far as I know, and that it's rumored. This is a rumor, I think, by right now, but it's supposedly taking place during World War I, which is, like, really interesting. That it's gonna take place during that, because then does that mean that Chris Pine, Steve Trevor is, like, an old man in current day, or is he just? I mean, how does that work?
And it's really interesting because apparently, like, reading this article on Screen Rant before we started recording, they do mention that at San Diego Comic-Con this past June, the artwork that they showed for everyone, like, they showed artwork for Green Lantern, and he kind of looked like Chris Pine, which we now know he is not. I guess he's been confirmed as Steve Trevor. But they showed the artwork that they showed for Wonder Woman showed her fighting alongside soldiers in an old-timey war that could have been either World War I or World War II, and that seemed to tie in with previous rumors that it was going to be set in the past, because, of course, Wonder Woman is she's immortal pretty much. So
yeah, that'll be interesting. I'm sure that they tried to avoid the World War II setting because obviously Captain America did that. Now that I think about that, but it would kind of be neat to see that because it does take place in Italy, and obviously that they were involved in World War One. But it would be kind of interesting to see, like, okay, in Batman v Superman, like, she'll have a certain personality because she's already been in this world before, but, like, maybe in her solo movie it'll be kind of like how she got there, like how she was before and all that. And
potentially, I think if I'm gonna hazard a guess, it's going to be that maybe we see sort of the typical Steve Trevor washes up on the island of Themyscira type story, and she finds out that he's a soldier. And a lot of people in this article, they link Nightingale to the Florence Nightingale effect, which is the a psychological, really it's more like a theory, but it's referring to Florence Nightingale. It's a phenomenon by which nurses fall in love with their patients, and so it could be a lot of people are tying that it's called, the working title is Nightingale. They're tying it into, oh, she's gonna fall in love with Steve Trevor while she's like nursing him back to health or holding him prisoner, maybe. But my guess is that the World War I or World War II stuff we're gonna get are gonna be flashbacks. Although who knows? I originally was like, why would you cast Chris Pine in such a small role? That's not usually his style. And then I watched, I don't know if you've seen this, Nick, the Netflix series Wet Hot American Summer, and Chris Pine is in that for literally a total of probably 15 minutes.
But he probably got like a huge paycheck
exactly.
for that.
And so who knows? That might be what he's doing with Wonder Woman. Maybe he's going to be a soldier in World War II, and then he actually is going to be like 80. It's going to be they're going to be vibe jacking the Steve Rogers feels from The Winter Soldier. He's going to have Alzheimer's. They're going to recreate that exact scene.
God. Oh yeah, also another interesting thing too, we talked about this before we started, but the SFX lead or whatever is the guy from Life of Pi too. Which is really cool because that's such a cool style to bring to the movie. It'll, like you were saying, it'll go really well with the cinematographer and that vision.
Yeah, absolutely.
Style.
Bill Westenhofer, and I think that lends itself really well to the cinematographer's style, because Life of Pi was shot very much in the same way. It was subdued. It was visually stunning, but it was kind of, a lot of the colors were subdued, which I guess is to be expected when you're on a boat in the middle of an ocean. But who knows? I just find it funny that they got the guy from Life of Pi, and apparently one of the original 9 scripts that they had pitched. If you guys don't remember, originally the story broke that they were shopping the Wonder Woman script out to 9 different writers to come up with 9 different scripts, and they would decide which one is best and go from there. And one of them, apparently, the rumor is, had Wonder Woman having a pet tiger. So I just kind of found that was a funny little connection. They had the Life of Pi VFX guy, and one of these scripts, reportedly not the one that was chosen, had Wonder Woman with a pet tiger. It's a battle cat.
I think that's what Michelle McLaren wanted to do with it, though.
Oh, yeah? Michelle
That
McLaren
wasn't
said
any
no.
of the scripts. It was just her dumb idea.
Oh, well. She was like, what if she had a pet tiger named Tony?
Nope.
You're out. We're gonna get the director for Thor 2, or the former director of Thor 2. Who knows? Maybe Natalie Portman will make an appearance in Wonder Woman because of all that drama that happened on Thor. But shooting in Italy is really cool too. Because you would think Wonder Woman they're gonna shoot in Greece. My guess is they're not doing that because Greece's economy is so volatile. But who knows? Italy, you get a lot of the same scenery. Having been to Italy, I can tell you it's beautiful country. I loved it. It was fantastic. You can, at least they'll be well fed and probably drunk half the time they're not filming.
Yeah.
Oh well. All right. Anything else to say there? I'm excited. I think this is a great pick for cinematographer. Great pick for VFX. It gives you a good sense of how the movie's going to look, I think. And it's not bad at all.
Interesting. It seems like there's a really good creative team behind this movie, too, because, even Jeff Johns tweeted out, or no, Patty Jenkins tweeted out something about, talking to Jeff Johns about Diana or something. So, obviously Jeff Johns is probably talking to all the directors about, the characters and stuff. He's just kind of overseeing stuff in the background. So, I think it's in good hands.
Absolutely. I think, and I've been saying for years, and I'm glad that it looks like they might be finally doing this, is just to seed the creative kind of role, the creative driver role that Kevin Feige has at Marvel. Just kind of give that to Jeff Johns, because Johns has written 90% of the DC characters you're going to be messing with for a movie universe. So, I think he's the guy. I'm really happy that it looks like they're moving towards that.
Yeah.
But oh yeah, so I think we're gonna wrap up this episode with some TV news. And I say wrap up, I know people are like looking at their watches and saying, "What the hell?" It's like we just got past 20 minutes. But we're gonna be talking about this for a while. There's a lot of ground to cover. We've got some casting news this week.
Yeah, actually, a lot of like smaller, like so many. It's just crazy how like every week we're like, oh, there's like three new actors cast on the show,
Yeah,
like or
exactly.
spread apart because like it's just crazy how all these shows that are coming back like this fall. I mean, Supergirl hasn't started yet
Mm.
either, but they're getting so many different characters on there and stuff, and like every week there's like two new characters coming to Gotham or Supergirl or Arrow, Flash, whatever, and it's just like
Absolutely.
crazy. I don't know how they're gonna cover all this stuff in the season, but
And I think it's really interesting, like with Supergirl. Um, the role that was just cast was I can't. You've got the actor's name right there, don't you?
General Sam Lane. I can't. The actor's name is escaping me. I don't.
I know. One of us should probably look that up. But I think it's a role for the future. He's going to have a recurring role. The one that really interests me is Tony Todd was cast as Zoom for season 2 of The Flash, which kind of came out of left field for me. Mainly because I had always assumed when they were going to do some kind of like multiverse thing, that they were just going to have Tom Cavanaugh return. Who knows if he's actually going to come back now? I'm not sure. There's a lot left open. A lot left up in the air. But what kind of role do you think Tony Todd is going to play as Zoom, quote unquote?
Yeah, well, supposedly he's just voicing him, and they're gonna have someone else in the costume, I guess. But I mean, people are like speculated online. It could be like an Arkham Knight Joker type of thing, where he's just
Hmm.
kind of like in Barry's head
That's
or
really
something.
interesting. That would be very
But
cool. Like I was gonna say, because like Tony Todd he's not quite. I mean, Tom Cavanaugh is a pretty like Ezra Miller. He's a slim guy. He's a trim guy. Tony Todd is really not that same kind of. He's a bigger guy. Like he's not. I'm not saying he's fat, Tony. I'm not calling you fat.
I don't know, he's just like a
He's
huge.
bigger.
He's
Yeah,
tall and
he's a
built,
large
and
man. Um, he doesn't really look like kind of
he's a
Zoom,
big guy.
but he will be the voice, which I think is fantastic because his he's a big guy. No, his voice
For
is
you.
really menacing. It'll be incredible, I think, to hear that voice coming out of
Yeah.
the suit. And apparently, it's really interesting. They say in Variety, I think, who first reported the story, they said that, or the executive producer Andrew Kreisberg said, last year with the Reverse Flash, we just modulated Tom Cavanaugh's voice, and this year we wanted to do something a little bit different. Part of the mystery of the season is who or what is underneath the Zoom outfit, so we wanted to do something like James Earl Jones as Darth Vader, this iconic voice coming out of the mask. Last year we thought of the Reverse Flash as a speed warrior. This year Zoom is like a speed demon, and no one does a demon voice better than Tony Todd, and I completely agree with that. That's much better. I'm glad that I looked that up right now because I was a little worried that they were going to put Tony in the suit, and I was like, this is so strange. But I mean, can I make a prediction right now?
Yeah, go for it.
Barry's in the Zoom suit. Barry is in the Zoom suit, and that's going to be the big reveal. And it's Tony Todd's voice modulating it, and it's Evil Barry. Of course, that might change my. It's Evil Barry. I think Blue Cobalt is going to be Eddie Thawne still, or Cobalt Blue. My bad. It's going to be the alternate universe Eddie Thawne. And Tom Cavanaugh is going to be a good guy. He's going to come back as a red herring. But that's just my prediction. So
Yeah, I was gonna say the character General Sam Lane we were talking about earlier
yes,
was cast for Supergirl. It's Glenn
I
Morshower.
actually just looked that up as well.
He's been in all kinds of like as soon as you see him, you're like, oh yeah, that guy. Okay.
Exactly. That's actually pretty much how it is. I'm just gonna say, and you probably have this image up on the screen now by the time we're done recording this, and you've edited it all together. But by now the audience has seen that guy's face and is like, oh, it's him. Yes, he's played a military dude or an FBI agent or some kind of man in a suit for pretty much everything that he's done. It seems like, except for Moneyball. Of course, he was a military man in First Class, which is, of course, where I think I first saw him. He was in Transformers: Dark of the Moon, and now he's Sam Lane. Of course, that's Lois Lane's father. Apparently he's going to, and this is according to CBS.com itself, recruit Supergirl to help execute a top-tier government mission. Not sure what to do there, but it's an interesting way to tie it back into Lois.
Well, I don't think they're going to use Lois on the show. I think
Probably
they're going to have that Lucy Lane girl.
More
that they just revealed or whatever.
They just revealed another one. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I was going to say my big issue with Supergirl, like the more I kind of hear about it, it just feels like they're making her a female Clark rather than actually Supergirl.
Yeah, I'm a little worried about that too. And honestly, like if I had to pick, like it's kind of funny. We've had a lot of success. I mean, more recently, I think since like the failed Wonder Woman TV show, we've had a huge amount of success with comic book TV shows, or at least enough that we've got a lot on TV right now, because at least a decent amount of people are watching each one. I honestly, like, if I had to make a prediction, I feel bad for this because I want this show to succeed, but I think Supergirl is going to be the first one that kind of falters, and I don't expect it to get a second season. It just seems a little paint by the numbers to me right now. Having watched the first episode, it was decent, but it didn't really have anything that really like.
It was like super generic and stuff.
That's
it wasn't.
I mean, paint by the numbers, generic, however you want to call it.
Yeah.
It definitely was. It just felt like another like TV show. Like Ugly Betty was actually from Krypton, or something.
Yeah,
it
kind of feels like CBS shot themselves in the foot too by saying like, oh, we don't want to cross over with like CW.
Exactly. You missed a
that would have
great
been like a
opportunity.
huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And plus, I mean, with the fact that she refers to her cousin and stuff like that, and we probably aren't going to see Clark on the show, is my guess. They've kind of painted themselves into a corner with having a hard time of introducing that and being like, oh, why don't we see Clark? Or why don't we see her talk to Clark? Or even just, why don't they have a conversation in the suits? And honestly, I don't know if they're going to do that or not yet. I assume DC would not be fine with that. And yes, maybe I'm assuming, and I'm assuming wrong. But of course, I think you could have tied it masterfully in with the CW. And in that, still raised questions about maybe some sort of hyper crisis, being the link between them all later. I mean, because if that happens, who's to say that they aren't just all multiple universes, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. But at this point, I think they definitely they've painted by the numbers right. They've painted themselves by the numbers right into a corner, and made a seemingly very generic show. I mean, because even, some of the ones that people shit on the most, like Arrow, despite the fact that it's like super gritty and realistic, it's serious, at least it's got its own feel, its own tone, its own theme. And that's what defines it. Like, there's really not much like it else on television, and it has its own big fan base. The Flash, it feels very comic book accurate. It's very fun. It's kind of the antithesis of Arrow, you could say. And it's got a lot of people that like it for that. A lot of people that buy into it. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which some people shit on as, campy and corny. It's at least got a big contingent of fans. And I think it's developed well over the last few years. And Agent Carter, you can say the same thing for, and so on. And somehow Gotham has fans. But
yeah, somehow Gotham gets like 8 million viewers.
I have no idea how.
It's like, what?
It's like, where do you find these 8 million people? But no, I mean, and even Gotham has its own tone and feel and stuff that people are buying into. I don't see Supergirl being anything more than your super generic office comedy. And how many of those get canceled every year? At least one. And so,
yeah, it's just like we talked. I talked about this a couple times, like the past few episodes. Like, oh, there's like so many different storylines they could have done with Supergirl, like in this show, like that could have been really cool, like because the New 52 Supergirl stuff had a lot they could have used. It was really good, and they'll probably never do that. They're just gonna play it safe and just make her a female Clark and just have her be all clumsy and stuff, and that's not who she is. She's like more headstrong and
Ugly Betty from Krypton. And it's really interesting because I guess at least they're trying to stay a little bit comic book accurate with the fact that, even though Kara, I guess, left the planet when she was older and she didn't show up until Superman was already there, I I think, you might have benefited in a show like this from having her show up before Superman. Like having her figuring out her shit before you get Cal revealing himself, even if it's in the Zod fight, and it'll be. I don't think DC is gonna let them use any of that, and so it's more or less. Like, I think it's a matter of personal preference to me. It's like whether you like Marvel or DC. I'm not saying that I prefer either one right now, but it is something that I respect about Marvel, very highly, is the fact that they've tied everything in. Sometimes a little messily, but I mean generally more neatly than not. And with DC, hopefully they get to a hyper crisis someday, because I hope it all ties in. It's a little OCD, I guess, but I'm hoping that it all kind of will eventually relate back to each other, and I think hopefully shows like Supergirl that make it even more confusing for the average viewer at home will kind of help them get there to realize it's like, hey, we need the crisis. But
I hope Man of Steel universe doesn't cross over with Supergirl, because that would like immediately drop the quality of the universe.
Can't wait
like,
for BVS crossover with Gotham.
No. God.
Yes.
That version of Bruce is just terrible.
He really is. He's annoying. And I feel bad. Did we give him the worst actor? No, we didn't. We gave the guy from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 2 the worst actor on the yearly awards. Poor Reed
Who
Diamond.
was that?
The Nazi guy, Reed Diamond, as Whitehall.
Yeah,
that was lame. But oh well. Whew,
yeah,
I guess.
I mean,
yeah.
That's pretty much the show.
Pretty
I
much
guess.
the show. Thanks for tuning in. We're gonna call this the mini-sode. It was just me and Nick. Hopefully McKinley will be back for the next one, and hopefully, pray for Luke 2015 that he gets his Wi-Fi safe and sound, and he can.
He'll be back for the Christmas episode, I guess.
Yeah.
But
He'll be back for our 2016 New Year's special.
Yeah, we should do that though. We should have like holiday themed episodes, like for Halloween and stuff, and
that'd be great.
Be kind of funny.
I actually think it'd be fantastic. We might have to brainstorm that a little bit. So yeah, I guess people that are watching this still, tell us what you thought. What do you think was the top story of this week? Any of your opinions on this news, like for example, what you think a post-apocalyptic costume for Flash means. Or if you're excited for Wonder Woman's cinematographer like I am, or if you have any theories on who's actually under the Zoom suit, let us know in the comments below, because we are definitely looking forward to hearing some. And don't forget to ask questions with the hashtag SFPodcast on Twitter, or Superfriends Podcast on Twitter, my bad. Use that hashtag. Or just comment below.
Yeah.
Because we will take shows like this are perfect. Like we could have added on another 10 minutes and done viewer questions, but we didn't receive any. So ask us your questions, please. We would love to hear them.
Yeah, we have. I think we also should plug in the live show, which is next Thursday, I believe.
A live show next Thursday, and you can
ask
questions
every other.
too.
Yeah, every other Thursday we'll do the live show, so you guys can come hang out for probably around an hour or so.
Absolutely, there. Netflix and chill. Oh.
Oh, well, maybe.
With Josh,
we haven't got that far yet, but
there you go. Who knows? It's getting pretty serious though.
Yeah, maybe a little bit.
Oh well. All right, guys. I guess that about wraps it up from us here. I'm CJ,
and I'm Nick,
and we'll see you next time.